You're doing everything right, working hard, showing up, trying to be responsible with money. And somehow, you still feel behind. Like no matter how much you earn, it never quite turns into progress. It's subtle, and that's the dangerous part. Because it makes you think, maybe I just need to work a little harder. Maybe I just need to make a little more. But what if that's the trap? What if the problem isn't how much you make, but the psychology behind what you do with it? Because this exact feeling you can't fully explain is the starting point of something most people never figure out. And by the end of this video, you're going to see money completely different. Not as numbers, not as income, but as behavior. Patterns, decisions you don't even realize you're making. Because the truth is, most people don't have a money problem, they have a thinking problem. You can be disciplined, working hard, even good with money, and still be running in place. Because the system you think you are playing isn't the one actually controlling your results. You get paid, you feel a sense of relief. For a moment, things feel under control. Then money starts disappearing. Bills, food, subscriptions you forgot you signed up for. Small I deserve this moments. Nothing crazy, nothing that feels irresponsible. But by the time the next paycheck comes, you're not really ahead. You just survived. And the cycle resets. Because this isn't random. It's not bad luck. It's not even about discipline. It's a pattern, a psychological loop. And once it starts, it runs automatically. Earn, spend, reset over and over. Let me ask you something. How many times have you said, I'll start saving seriously next month? Or once I make more, I'll get my finances together. But when more money actually comes, nothing really changes because the problem was never the amount, it was the behavior attached to it. But if you zoom out, your life probably doesn't look bad. You're working, you're earning, you're trying. But if you zoom in, something feels off. Your paycheck comes in, and before you even fully process it, it's already mentally spent. A few things you told yourself you wouldn't buy again, but did anyway, and you justify it because technically you can afford it. Not can I afford this, but why does it feel like I never get ahead? There's this quiet thought that shows up sometimes, usually late at night, or right after you check your bank account. I should be doing better than this, not because you're reckless, but because you expected more progress by now. You thought by this point, you'd feel more stable, more in control, less stuck, but instead, it feels like you're just running in place, not building anything. Because it's not just the big expenses, it's the small leaks, the $10 there, the $20 there. It's just this one's purchases. The patterns, they tell a story, a pattern of unconscious decisions, which makes it harder to question, harder to stop, harder to even see, until one day you realize you've been working for years and the progress doesn't match the effort. Here's the shift most people never make. Money isn't about how much you earn. It's about how you behave after you earn it. That sounds simple, almost obvious, but most people don't actually live like that's true because we've been conditioned to believe more income equals more progress. But look closer, there are people making $40,000 a year with savings, investments, and breathing room. And there are people making $120,000 a year who feel one paycheck away from stress. So what changed? Not the income, but the behavior. This is where most people get it backwards. They focus on increasing input without fixing the system that handles the output. More effort doesn't fix a broken system, it just speeds up the process. And this is why earning more feels powerful, but it doesn't always translate into control. Because income gives you options, but behavior decides what you do with them. Let me say that again. Income gives you options. Behavior decides your outcome. And here's the part nobody talks about. You don't rise to the level of your income. You fall to the level of your habits. That's why some people scale and others stay stuck, even when their income increases. Because money doesn't fix the patterns, it exposes them. If your behavior is spend first, think later, more money just means bigger mistakes. Imagine this, every time you get paid, your money doesn't go into your bank account, it goes into a script, an invisible one, already written, already running, and every dollar you earn just follows the instructions. Some of it goes here, some of it disappears there, some of it gets justified, some of it gets ignored. Not because you decided in that moment, but because the script already decided for you. That's what most people are living inside. Not a budget, not a plan, a script. And the scary part, you don't consciously write it. It was built over time, from habits, from environment, from what you saw growing up, from how you learned to deal with stress, reward, and comfort. So now, every time money enters your life, it doesn't create change, it reinforces the script. If your script says, money is for spending and relief, you spend it. If your script says, I'll figure it out later, you will delay. If your script says, I deserve this after working hard, you will justify it. And none of it feels wrong. It's just a pattern you've repeated enough times that it feels like identity. If I look at your 30 years of spending, I could predict your next 30. Not your intentions, but rather your behavior. That's how consistent the script is. And that's why people stay stuck for years. Not because they don't care, not because they're not trying, but because they're following a script they don't even realize they're reading from. Because the cost of that script isn't obvious. You don't feel it in one bad purchase. You don't notice it in 1 month. That's why it's dangerous. It hides in time. It hides in what could have been. Every time money flows through a broken pattern, you're not just losing dollars, you're losing time. And time is the only thing money can't buy back. If you delay fixing your system by just 1 year, that's not 1 year lost. It's years of momentum you never built. Because money doesn't grow in straight lines, it compounds. And if there's nothing to compound, there's nothing to grow. This is the part most people underestimate. They think, I'll figure it out later. I'll get serious when I make more. But later has a cost, a silent one. Because while you're waiting, your script is reinforcing itself. And the longer it runs, the harder it is to rewrite. Now zoom out for a second. 5 years of small leaks. 5 years of delayed decisions. 5 years of I'll start next month. That's not small anymore. That's a completely different life. Because it's not just about money. It's about options. The ability to say no. The ability to take risk. The ability to breathe. Without control over your money, you don't just lose wealth. You lose flexibility. You lose the ability to choose your life on your terms. Here's the realization that changes everything. Money doesn't respond to effort. It responds to pattern. That's it. Not how hard you work. Not how stressed you feel. Not how much you deserve to be ahead. Patterns. Because think about it. You don't get paid once and magically build wealth. You get paid repeatedly, which means your results aren't decided by one moment. You're decided by what you do every time. And most people treat money like a series of isolated events. I'll be better this month. I'll save when things calm down. I'll fix it next paycheck. But money doesn't work like that. It works like a loop. And whatever you do in that loop gets reinforced. So if your pattern is earn, spend, react, you'll stay stuck. But if your pattern becomes earn, direct, build, everything changes. Same income, different outcome. That's the part that feels almost unfair. Until you realize it's actually simple. Not easy, but simple. Because once you shift that pattern, you don't need motivation anymore. You don't need discipline every day. You don't need to try harder. The system carries you. And this is the part most people miss. They think wealth comes from big moves, big investments, big risk, big decisions. But in reality, it comes from small patterns executed consistently, quietly, almost boringly. And that's why it works. Because while everyone is chasing intensity, the people who win are controlling their pattern. Let me say something that might stick with you. You don't need a new income level, you need a new loop. Because once the loop changes, everything downstream changes with it. And suddenly, progress stops feeling random, it starts feeling predictable. And if you really sit with this for a second, nothing about your situation is random. Not the stress, not the feeling of being stuck, not even the progress you thought you'd have by now. It all traces back to patterns you don't even realize you were following. And that's not meant to make you feel bad. It's meant to wake you up. Because if your current reality was built by patterns, then your future can be rebuilt the exact same way. Because years from now, you won't remember the exact day things change. There won't be some dramatic moment, just a series of small decisions that slowly pulled your life in a different direction. And one day you look up and realize you're no longer trying to fix your money. You're living in a system that works. And comment down below, what's one thing you're going to change today? And don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more videos coming your way.